Hey, welcome everybody. My name is David Bush, and I'm alongside Jeff Bush, my brother, here today. And we're going to give you an overview on the 6 steps to scale your business and grow profit. Over this next 30 to 45 minutes, you're going to get a chance to take a look into the background of where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going, and how we can help you to scale your business and grow profitability. So I'd love to introduce you to a guy that I've known, gosh, it feels like my entire life. Actually, my entire life, because he's 2 years older than me. It's my older brother, Jeff. Jeff and I have been entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs for our entire life. We were born into a entrepreneur family. Our dad owned an auto body shop, and we learned the opportunity of dreaming big and achieving big goals in our life from our parents. And for the last 50 some years, we've been in a process of continuing to grow our opportunities. And I'd love to introduce you to Jeff. Jeff, welcome to the overview video today.
Thanks, Dave. Glad I'm here. Excited about this.
Yeah, well, I'd love to get a chance to share a little bit about your background, Jeff, with everybody that's watching today or watching a recording of this. And I'd love for you just to kind of go back to the beginning stages of when you decided that you wanted to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, and kind of give people a little bit about your background and where you're at today and why we're qualified to consult and guide other entrepreneurs to scale their business and grow their profits.
Yeah, love to kind of share some of life story experiences that maybe can help somebody else. I guess that's what this is really about, right? Is what have I done over the last 30, 40 years that experience that could help someone else shortcut to the top or shortcut to some big success. So, starting as a teenager, I mean, I guess, as me and David, working in dad's body shop, working hard, sanding cars, painting cars, detailing cars. Dad loved cars and had this body and paint shop that he owned for, I don't know, a couple different shops over maybe a 30-year period. And one thing I noticed probably when I was like 13 is these really nice cars used to come into the shop, Ferraris and Porsches and Panteras and we would, they'd spend $10,000 restoring these cars with dad's body shop, and we did all the work. And I kept looking at my dad going, Dad, why don't you own any of these cars? I didn't understand at 13 that dad was making a good solid income. I think dad was probably making 50 grand a year back in the 80s, which was really good money, right? That's probably be like 150,000 today, self-employed, small business, but very, very good. So I just remember at a real young age going like, all these people that are bringing these Ferraris and Porsches in, I guess they don't own body shops, or maybe they own a bigger one because our dad, loves cars, but he can't afford any of these cars. One of these days, I got to do something where I can buy some of these cars. I think that's where it started. And, the picture of the 308 red Ferrari, the Magnum PI Ferrari on the wall in dad's shop, right? Bright red. It's like, wow, that's a beautiful car. And so anyways, that's, I think, what kind of sparked it is I just, if other people could do it, why can't I do it? And that was the start of it, So, 13 to 18, working in dad's body shop, painting cars. I hated it. It was physical labor and I was okay at it. Not great. I just didn't like working on cars. I like driving them, So, yeah. So basically, because I had my first son in high school, Justin was born when I was 18. I moved to Orange County and did a year of junior college at Orange Coast College, but it was really hard. I was going to school at night and I had to work during the day to have income to pay for my son, Justin. And so it got kind of old working during the day and going to college at night. And I didn't have any money ever. So I quit college after a year or two of junior college and said, I got to go into sales if I'm not going to get an education and get a degree. I can't be an attorney or a doctor or, CPA. So I'm going to have to go do something. So I took a sales job, and selling advertising for the Auto Trader magazine, with a camera around my neck with 35 millimeter film in it. It trips me out to think of a big camera and developing film. Makes me feel pretty old. But that was my first job selling. And, I think I was making $25,000 a year, but some of the sales reps that had commercial accounts, one guy had his own airplane and he was making like $1.50, like 150,000, and he owned an airplane. And would go flying with him. I'm like, wow, just selling and, advertising, you could afford an airplane. That's pretty cool. We'd fly to Santa Barbara, Catalina. So I started getting around guys that were successful and commissioned income, 150 grand back in the early 90s, pretty good money. So anyways, that kind of got me into seeing that, wow, I could make a lot of money in sales, so I'm going to go get good at sales and yeah, buying and selling cars and flipping cars, kind of, owned a little detail business in my teenage years. So I had a little taste of entrepreneurship, but more self-employed, right? Not business owner. I didn't understand the difference. So anyways, into my 20s, I became a salesperson, straight commission. I made $200 my first month, $200. It was horrible. But there was like 10, 15 salespeople there, and some of them were making 10 grand a month. And I'm like, if they could do it, I could do it. So I just kind of learned and worked a lot harder than most people in the building. And I got up to making like 10 grand a month in sales in my early 20s. I'm like, wow, like 22 years old, bought an Acura Legend, 1992, black with black leather, got my first nice car. And then, Tiffany and I got back together after a 5-year break and got married and started having kids. And, that company that I was salesperson and manager, the two owners had a fight and split, and I left with one of the owners, and he gave me 30% ownership in the company. And we did that for about a year. And then he had a big IRS problem I didn't know about and other major issues, drinking, gambling. So he BK'd the company and I was out of a job. So then I went and found another guy and let's see, I said, listen, I'll build your sales team. Give me a little, ownership piece or partnership, and I'll build the sales team really big and grow sales. So I joined that company. I think they were doing $500,000 a year in revenue, and it was just husband and wife selling. And 7 years later, we did $40 million in sales. I had 40 salespeople, 4 sales managers, just a huge monster selling machine. And so it was fun to grow from 500,000 to 40 million. And I was the VP of sales. So I was running sales, marketing. I was developing a lot of the products. And, he sold the company for an 8-figure exit, and I got a nice little check out of it, and then what happened at that time was, after 7 years working with this guy and the owner, after they bought his company, they came in and fired him. And I'm like, oh crap, they just fired my boss. Like, I wonder if I'm next. And at that point, I'm like late 20s, maybe 28, 29 years old. And I'm making $300,000 a year as a VP of sales, big W-2 income. And I remember being scared. They fired him. They might come fire me. The guys from Chicago bought the company and just cleaned house. And I didn't like these guys that much from Chicago. I just wasn't getting along with them. Different mindset, different group. So I started, and my friend who got fired said, you're at the top of the income scale. They're never going to pay you more than 300 grand. And I had some clients at that time. Actually, they were mortgage customers that I was doing direct mail for. And there was one guy that owned Ditech Mortgage, and he was doing 10,000 loans a month. And I think he was making $10 million a month net income, and I met the guy, and I'm like, this guy's not that good. I mean, if he can make $10 million a month and do 10,000 loans, if I started a mortgage company, I bet I could do 100 loans a month and make $1 million, a year. That was kind of my small thinking. And so one day, I walked in and quit my $300,000 a year job. I had a $3,100 mortgage payment, a wife who didn't work, 4 kids. It was freaking scary. But I'm like, hey, if I don't do this. So I went in and quit a $300,000 a year job to start a mortgage company. I couldn't start a ad agency because I had a non-compete, because I signed that deal when I got my little earn-out check when they sold the company. So I had to switch industries, and I knew nothing about mortgages, but I knew something about sales and marketing. And I had been doing direct mail for mortgage companies. So I started a mortgage company in 2000, and it took, I took $12,000 a month. So instead of 25,000 a month, I took 12 grand, and cut all my expenses. And I think it took about 3 years to get back to $300,000 a year in income. But then year 4, I made $1 million. Year 5, I made 2.5 million. Year 6, I made 2.9 million. So it was amazing, like, to see the growth. And I remember asking my pastor, what do you think about me quitting my $300,000 a year job to go into business for myself? He goes, oh, you're going to go in the mortgage business? It's real up and down, Jeff. You better be careful. I wouldn't suggest you quit a $300,000 a year job. I'm like, thanks for the advice. The next day I quit and I didn't listen. And I got up to 70 employees. We were doing 100, 110 loans a month. And I made, like I said, $1 million 1 year, 2.5, I think close to 3 million, 2.9 million W-2'd myself. So anyways, I had 3 really big years. In my early 30s, became a millionaire, bought houses, cars, living the life. And then, 2007 hit and it was bad. I remember thinking, I'm doing 100 loans a month. I'm making $200,000 a month. If I go down to 50 loans a month, I'll still make like 80,000. I can still keep all my lifestyle and my crap. But in 2007, when all the banks closed, my loan officers were coming to me going, hey, Countrywide just closed. IndyMac just closed. How are we going to stay open? And I'm like, I don't know. We're going to try, And 2007 was a bad year. We went from doing 100 loans a month to 10. So we lost 90% of our revenue literally within a few months. Any business that loses 90% of its revenue in a short amount of time, I had big leases. I had a warehouse line. I had a lot of liabilities and they started coming at me and it was over. That party was over. So I shut down the company real bad, crash landing, lost everything, houses, cars, it was bad. It was like 07, 08. And then, went out and fumbled around working for some old friends for some $10,000 a month salary, barely making it. It was horrible. Couple years. And I go, man, this is crazy. I got to go back and start another business. So 2011, I think, is when I started my ad agency Overflow, went back into direct mail and started building a company. And that company started with just me in a barn, making phone calls, outbound calling, selling stuff over the phone. And I did $1 million in sales my first year in business and I made 150 grand. It was great. And as soon as I got there, I said, I got to build a company, a real business, not just dependent on me. I don't want to be self-employed. I want to be a business owner. So I started hiring employees, got an office, and, we went from me $1 million by myself to, over 10 years, we got up to $20 million in sales, making about $4 million net profit, on 20 million, 20% EBITDA. And then, got it all the way up to $40 million in sales, made $16.9 million in EBITDA. Unbelievable. I'm like, this is like Kobe Bryant money. This is real money now. This is not 100 grand a month. Like I'm making a freaking $1.5 million a month. This is insane, And so anyways, and then had an exit, decided after 10 years that I want to sell this thing, get a big check and pay off all my houses and cars and put a bunch of money in the bank and try to be semi-retired. So that happened 2 years ago, like April of 21 is when I sold it. And that's kind of my story, I guess, from teenage years. So, I had a couple businesses in between that I started that didn't make it. I had a shoe company that trying to build a skate shoe company, build a brand. That was really hard and deal with China and supply chain issues and retail stores. So I've done retail, mortgage, business to business, business to consumer. So anyways, I've had a few little businesses along the way, but, that was the big one that exited. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, your story. I love it. That, you go from being an employee, working for dad as the painter, to doing side hustles and selling cars on the side, and then moving into a sales position, and you become more self-employed, in control of your own destiny. You start helping a business to grow. You gain an equity position as a part owner and an executive leader in the organization. And then you make the big leap, which so many businesses don't make, or so many entrepreneurs don't make. They stay in that self-employed quadrant, and they can do life successfully. They can have a great lifestyle, but they don't have the benefits of building a bigger business and having a much bigger exit. So, Jeff, talk to those people that are in that situation right now. Maybe they're in the self-employed quadrant and they want to grow to the business owner where they have time freedom and they have an asset that continues to grow that doesn't require them to be there all the time or to be in control of everything, that they can actually bring a staff. What was the reasons of why you made that jump to that business owner quadrant? And why do you think so many business owners don't or won't make that jump and scale their business and grow their profits?
Yeah, I guess I've always had pretty big goals, and one of them was like I want to own a brand new Ferrari, and that was a goal I set when I was like 18 years old. And it was like, when you're 28 and you start to realize, oh my God, these cars are like $250,000, and the goal was always I got to write a check for it. I'm going to pay cash. I'm not going to finance a Ferrari. That's like stupid, not a good goal. But you start to realize to make an extra $250,000 in 1 year above your expenses. I mean, my expenses were 200 grand a year to run my family, right? Life, mortgages and cars and food and electricity. And so you're like, dang, that's, I'm going to have to make. And then you look at your tax bill and you're like, I live in California, 50% goes to the government. So it became a lot bigger goal. And I just knew I could not hit my goals in any kind of a W-2 job that only depended on me. And I couldn't do it in a self-employed company because there's only so many hours in the day. So if I'm the only salesman and I'm selling everything and doing everything, you don't get the duplication in that. So I realized pretty early on, Robert Kiyosaki's book that talks about the 4 quadrants of being self-employed, business owner, investor, or employee helped me a lot, So I just started to realize the only way I can make the money and duplicate myself is in business. I've got to have employees. I got to have a big business, 60 employees, 70 employees. So having big goals and realizing I wasn't going to achieve them in the vehicle I was in, I was kind of, if you want these big things, you're going to have to change something major and make a major decision. So my goals pushed me to make that decision to quit that job, $300,000 a year job, 29 years old. I loved my job. It was a great job, as jobs go, but, make 300, take home 175, 200,000. You're not going to buy a $250,000 Ferrari cash, taking home that amount of money. So it was like, I got to start a business. So that's what probably pushed me, to do it. Having big dreams and goals and wanting more out of life. I mean, I think that's like the driver behind all this. But yeah, big.
Yeah, well, and you've moved into the investor quadrant now where you've been able to have an 8-figure exit. You've got resources to do life on your terms. And, you've bought a 40-acre ranch, a wedding venue, some real estate properties, and you're beginning to look at life as more of an investor and investing into other people. And I know you didn't share much about your wedding venue that's been significantly increased, and you want to share a little bit about how you've taken this hobby of yours of having a wedding venue and turning it into a very profitable enterprise.
Yeah, so we bought Hawk Ranch 3 years ago. It's a 40-acre property with 5 houses on it. And, my wife's Italian and she wants all the kids to stay home. So I kind of talked her into buying this house where there's 5 houses on the property. We have 4 adult children, men, and they all have a house, and my oldest son just got married, had our first grandbaby, and they live on the property. So we golf cart around 40 acres to each other's houses. It's quite the lifestyle. It's pretty awesome. But the house is really expensive. It's a lot of property, a lot of maintenance. So this house happened to have a permit to do weddings when I bought it. And the lady she did 5 weddings for $10,000 per wedding. So she had done $50,000 in sales 1 year. I don't know if she made any money. Maybe she made 10, 20 grand and helped pay for half the property tax bill. Property tax bill is $52,000 a year here. That's a real number, right? $4 grand a month in taxes. So, I looked at that and I go, gosh, we could get in this wedding business. And if we could do, 50 weddings a year at 20 grand a pop, we'll do $1 million. We'll make like maybe $250,000, and that'll pay for most of the house, the taxes, the electric bill. So anyways, we bought this place 3 years ago and, finished out her 5 weddings and then started cranking things up, man. Sales, marketing, lead generation, putting a manager in place. So I think, the second year we went from doing 5 weddings to doing 50. and 50 weddings at 20 grand a pop. We did $1 million in revenue. We only made about 150 grand that first year because we reinvested a lot of the profits into improving the space and putting the sales team together and the manager. I only work about 4 hours a week on the wedding venue. I mean, it's like nothing, right? I have a team of 5 employees, a manager, salesperson, coordinator, bookkeeper, and then a maintenance guy that run the whole thing. And so my wife does a lot. She probably invests 10 hours a week, but it's not full time. So anyways, I think right now, year 3, we're tracking, got about 70 weddings sold. So we're tracking 1.4 million in revenue this year. And I think it'll probably make 300 grand, but our goal is to get to 100 weddings a year, $2 million in sales. And I think we can net profit $400,000, which is a great income. And that'll more than pay for the house and have a little income, for whatever, me and wife and, kids are kind of working here and everybody's on payroll and we have insurance, medical insurance. We've got, so I've got a real business right now. People are like, what are you doing since you're retired? Well, I still have a couple small businesses that are taking a little bit of my time, so I couldn't completely retire. So yeah, Hawk Ranch weddings, we're doing awesome. I just took lead generation, David, from we were getting 50 leads a month. I got 262 leads last month. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I have 5x'd the lead gen, which is super important, right? And we've probably 3x the sales from selling 1 or 2 weddings a month to, I think we've sold between 7 and 9 weddings for 4 months in a row, January through April. So we're on track to get to 100 weddings sold and completed probably next year. So we're excited. I mean, I'm running a business right now and doubling it. It's really fun. I just hired our 3rd salesperson. We had 1 person doing all of it the first year or 2. And I'm like, that's not a good plan. I need some diversity. And so now we have 3 salespeople selling. So I'm scaling a business right now. It's just at my house and it's kind of small business. It'll probably never do more than 2 million a year. I don't think I want it to. That's kind of capping it out because we live here and it's busy and a lot of weddings, a lot of people. So anyways, that's the wedding biz. So I built, I kind of forgot about the wedding business. And that's business to consumer, right? Took a wedding business from 50,000 a year to 2 million within 2 years. I knew nothing about it, but here's what I know: lead generation, sales, marketing, the team, the management. I know how to do business, so I can apply my skills to selling junk mail, selling weddings, selling business to business, business to consumer, selling shoes, selling advertising, so selling mortgages. That was biz. So I've had like 2 B2B companies and 2 B2C. It's not really that much different. Lead gen, sales, management, leadership. It's like I know how to do it, and I think I can do it in probably 75% of the industries. I know how to grow revenue and profits. So I'm excited to share some of the details of that along the way. What I've learned in 32 years, hiring 1,000 salespeople. I've hired 1,000 salespeople, interview, training, firing, managers, that whole deal. There's a lot that gets packed in there. Tricks of the trade, tips, things I've learned that work, don't work. It's whatever. I get more effective as I get older. I learn more and I can do it faster. That's what's fun, is it can happen faster. And that's just fun to see it grow,
Yeah. And over the last 25 years of our professional life, Jeff and I have talked about doing something together. And, I spent the last 25 years building sales organizations and building businesses. And I got into coaching entrepreneurs about 10, 15 years ago, and started off just in being passionate about coaching entrepreneurs to develop more extraordinary businesses. And my experiences in business coaching, business consulting, and as Jeff began to move into the investor quadrant, we started thinking. We both surpassed 50, him a little bit before I did, but we started thinking about the second half of our life and what we wanted to do, and what we wanted to do together. And so we started thinking about the idea of becoming investors into other people and investing our time and our experience and our skill sets into helping other businesses to grow. And we started developing a business model that was really a win-win-win, where we could win, other people could win, and the world could win, because we could actually make more extraordinary businesses and more profit, more impact from a positive sense. And what we started thinking about is that, what are some of the reasons of why business owners fail to scale and fail to grow in profitability? And, we've said lack of vision and motivation. A lot of times they just don't know what they don't know. And many a times the things that they know just aren't so. And we started looking at the fact that they had ineffective marketing or inefficient marketing, low sales volume, not enough revenue. And Jeff has been, many times asked to partner with other business owners to help them to scale their marketing because of his vast experience in 3 decades of growing organizations with marketing and sales, and increasing revenues and growing sales teams and developing systems to create higher margins and lower expenses so that they can actually produce high profitability. And so we decided that we were going to create this 6 steps to success model where we could basically provide guidance to business owners that want to scale their business and grow in profitability. And so the 6 steps are basically, we start off with a business assessment. We identify where are the problems, and then we move them to a focused business plan. And this is not some plan for funding. We're going to be working with business owners like those of you that are watching this right now, where you already have a successful business. You just want to have a more successful business and a more significant business and a higher level of success and significance in life so that you can live life on your terms. So we're going to analyze the business plan and where we feel that there's areas to improve. And we trust that you already have some success in your life, that we're not going to doubt your success. We're just going to share with you some things that we've found to increase margins, increase revenue, increase profitability, and then to increase your efficiencies and effectiveness with your marketing strategies. And where's the best place to invest your capital so that you can see predictable, rapid increase in incoming qualified leads, and then show you how to convert a higher level of sales by having a peak performance, high volume sales team, whether that's having 60 or 70 employees or maybe having 6 or 7 rock stars that can absolutely crush it and grow revenues, and then show you some ways of how you can add more in terms of margins by adding increased value, and then showing you some leadership strategies so that you can enhance your performance and build a great culture so that, the new increased growth doesn't drive you crazy or doesn't drive your team crazy because you're not advancing in leadership skills and capacity to lead an organization. Our vision at growmyprofit.com is to strategically partner with small to mid-sized businesses to help them to scale their marketing, sales, and revenues and profit 10 times faster than they can do it on their own. There's a great quote that says, "The experience of others compresses time." We believe that we can compress time and eliminate mistakes, eliminate costly delays by just sharing with you what it is that we've been able to do. And so, in terms of services, we have live and virtual events. If you want to participate in those, you can go to our website, growmyprofit.com. We have consulting packages that we'll offer to you if you just like to pick our brains and to, get some perspective, but not be in a strategic equity partnership where we're partnering to grow profitabilities in a win-win-win scenario. That's perfectly okay. We can start with that process and even start with a conversation, free of charge, just to do a diagnosis and talk through where we feel like that we could maybe enhance your opportunities. And if we're not a good fit, we'd be more than happy to tell you that it's not a good fit for us, but maybe connect you to somebody that we think may be a fit. And then we have strategic equity partnerships where we partner together with you and accelerate the growth and benefit in the opportunities that come from building a more profitable and successful business. We specialize in business and strategic thinking. We specialize in marketing expertise and lead generation strategies. And we also have a number of years of experience in growing successful sales teams with high profit margins. And we'd love to share more of the resources that we have. So if you go to our website, growmyprofit.com, we have a business assessment you can complete, which basically puts us in touch with you. We'll schedule a Zoom session where we can discuss further what it is that we offer. We also have a ton of free resources at growmyprofit.com that you can take a look at your convenience and learn more about some of the strategies that that we employ inside of our 6-step model to success. And if that serves you, we're accomplishing our mission and our vision by just helping you. And if there's an opportunity that you'd like to have a deeper conversation, we'd love to have a conversation with you. So thanks everybody for watching this video, and wish you guys the very best.